And we're live, baby, live. It's Shooting the Shit Uncensored. You know who this is. It's the dad bod god, the bald, the beard, and the goddamn beautiful Piers Austin. And I am joined once again by the OG himself, the original greaser, the man with the three largest legs in professional wrestling, the one and only Robbie motherfucking Zucco. How you doing, bro?
Hey, good. How are you, brother?
I'm good, man. You know what, bro? Like you're like becoming quite a regular, like on the podcast, like almost like on a weekly basis. We're having like conversations with people. And it's been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed it. And like the conversations we've had have been absolutely epic so far. So tonight is going to be no different, bro. I'm really excited. So why don't you take a quick second, tell like people a little bit about our guest that we got coming on this evening.
Well, our guest is someone that actually, take it from me, can actually hit incredibly hard. Now, she is a great women's wrestler. She is the wife of my tag partner, and she's also a pink lady. So this is going to be one interesting conversation.
Absolutely. But before we go any further, I got to take a quick second to tell you about healthvape.com. Now, Health Vape is your healthy vaping alternative. All of their products are no nicotine, no addictive or harmful chemicals. They help restore your energy while giving you the vital boost you need to get through your day. And like I said, they're vitamin infused. They're like vaping a freaking Red Bull. So go and check out healthvape.com. Use that promo code MWAPOD to get a 10% discount on your final purchase. Like, go and check it out. Also, wherever you are finding us, please, if you're watching on YouTube, like, share, subscribe, hit the bell to stay notified, tap the red button and tap in, baby. And if you're tuning in on a podcast platform, please give us a 5-star review. It helps with our analytics. It helps us bring more amazing conversations to more amazing people. So get to clicking, get to tapping. But without further ado, Rob, we've talked enough shit, almost 2 minutes and 30 seconds. It's time to get on with the show, don't you think?
I think so.
All right, let's get the ball rolling.
Get the match away.
Boom! Boom, we're live. What's going on? Flame and the OG up in the house. What's going on, guys? Thank you for coming on the show tonight.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm excited to be here and getting a chance to chat to you guys outside of show. We don't get to do that very often, so it's pretty exciting times. And my first podcast too, so thanks for having me here.
Well, welcome. No pressure. So
No.
You'll enjoy yourself.
Absolutely. I can't believe this has actually been your first podcast because, like, what year did you started training?
Oh gosh, I first started training in 2002. I took a few years off when I got married and had kids. But then I got back into training, and I've been wrestling ever since. So it's been quite a while.
Like, I think like you would have to be like one of if not the longest active performing females in Australian wrestling, right?
There's a couple of other girls around too that have, they've been around for a while as well. But not too many people, unfortunately. It's something where, given, being women, we, often when we start families, things like that, other things sometimes take priority, or, wrestling sometimes gets put to the back. So I've been lucky enough that I've been, supported by my family. Obviously, my husband also wrestles, so that's helpful for me. And I've been able to keep doing it, something I love doing. So here I am.
And I don't know if like you want me to put this out there, but I'm going to say it anyway. But like, we were talking at like the last show that we're on, and like, apparently, like your daughter wants to now break into the business as well. Like, how do you feel about that?
The whole family into it.
Yeah, she is pretty keen at the moment to get involved. She's she's come to a lot of shows throughout her life. There was a period of time when she got over wrestling for a few years, but over the last few years she's gotten back into it, and I guess she gets to see the fun that we have and the people we get to work with and meet, and she's gotten to see and enjoy part of that atmosphere backstage and helping out at shows. So yeah, she's let me know not too long ago. She's like, Mum, can you start helping me become a wrestler? Can I do training with you and Dad? And I was just like, oh my God, where do we go from here? But like I said to her, if she's willing to put in the hard work and give it a go, then I'm all for it. I'm very cautious about probably who I'm going to let her train with, but and also not starting training too soon because she still is a bit too young. But I still wanted to just be around the business a bit, and even if she just starts learning some of the simple basics, that'll just help her when she's able to start getting in there and getting thrown around with the guys.
Do you feel like, because like in 2002 when you broke into the business, I think it was a different time in society and also in the world of professional wrestling, really, because I feel like women's wrestling in 2002 wasn't taken as serious as what it is now, like 21 years later.
No, definitely not. It was also just a very different scene back then too. You kind of you trained and you worked with just the one fed. Generally, you didn't really mix around. It just wasn't really encouraged, and it just caused too much drama back then. So and back then it really wasn't taken seriously. There's High Octane. Hi. And yeah, some people did, obviously. Like, I was lucky I had, a great trainer. He was always, wonderful to me, very respectful, treated me like one of the boys, I guess, in a way. So that was always helpful for me. Sorry, I got sidetracked from where I was going with that. But with Eva getting into the business, it's going to be very interesting. But yeah, I think it's something that I look forward to, and it's something I think it's just going to bring us closer as a family as well.
Yeah, she'll have a good start, won't she? She'll have the both parents that know what to do, know what to look for, know what not to do. I think it'll be great guidance for her. But good luck with that. That's fantastic. Hopefully she does real well. She can wrestle us one day.
Yeah. It could be an interesting storyline to build up to. The mother-daughter rivalry. That could be awesome. It's gonna be great.
But I can just imagine like Tristan Slade on the outside, like just watching her matches, going, "Back in my day, we did things slower."
Yeah, I'm sure. To be fair, he'll probably be, someone who does put a lot of, pressure on her in a way to perform and to, make sure she does it, things the way that it should be done. Really, things that make sense, and I'm sure that'll be there. But at the same time, like Rob said, I think we'll be able to give her a lot of good guidance, and we've got a lot of great contacts as well, like people like Rob, people that we train with, people we work with. So she'll be able to learn a lot from a lot of experienced people out there.
Oh, absolutely. But back with you, like when you started in 2002, like I want to know, like you said, like your trainer, which I believe was Animal Harpas, right?
Yeah, it was Andy, the Animal Harpas. Yeah, back when I first started, there were only a few girls that worked, in the crew that I worked with. I got into it because obviously I met David and he did wrestling. Before that, as a teenager, I was always like a wrestling fan, and as I was quite a tomboy and used to do backyard stuff with my friends and that kind of thing. And then I met Dave and I was like, well, he was actually a wrestler, and I didn't even know at that time there was wrestling in Australia. And then I went to a show that he was on, and it was probably a month or two after I met him and had moved sort of to Sydney. And then I saw a match with Poison Ivy, and it was actually, I believe, Nikki Nitro's debut match. and I saw them wrestling, and I was like, wow, there's like chicks basically like, you know, my size doing what the guys are doing. Like, there's no reason I couldn't get in there and do it too. And then I sort of had a chat to David after the show. I was like pretty excited. I was like, do you reckon I could do it? Do you reckon I would be able to do it? And he was like, of course you could. Like, come on, I'll take you to training next week. So yeah, and then I went and met Andy and, you know, at training, and yeah, had a chat with him, and because he always took everybody aside when they first wanted to start, and, you know, had a bit of a chat with him. He asked, you know, what I what I wanted to do, that kind of thing. And then he had quite a tough school, to be honest. He used to give you 3 weeks to learn how to bump, and at the end of that 3 weeks, if you couldn't bump, he just basically said, sorry, it's not for you. So it was pretty tough. We did a lot of training, a lot of hard hours, like four sessions a week, for like 4 hours at a time at least. So we're there normally, you know, 3 nights a week, and, you know, for most of the day on Saturday half the time. So we really just trained, and it was really just about doing things over and over again, so that it just became automatic and you don't even have to think about it. Back then too, we used to do a lot of promo training and that kind of thing as well. And back in the day, I suppose, at the time, we were quite, I suppose, progressive when it came to things like doing pre-tapes and, you know, tape segments and that during the actual shows and that kind of thing. So I got to, you know, learn from a lot of great guys, and really learn from some of the best. So it set me up well. Then, you know, once I had a break after, you know, getting married and having kids, and when I came back, the scene had completely changed. And by then, you were able to mingle and wrestle around everywhere else. And so I got to then start working with a whole different crew, you know, different people with all different levels of experience. And that really, that just helped me to become, I suppose, better. And, you know, you learn what not to do, you know, what to do, you know, when you're having something goes wrong, how to recover from it. And it just, I think that variety just set me up very well. And of course, again, you know, my husband, he's a wrestler as well, and obviously you guys know he's amazing, and him and Robbie together are just great. So, you know, even just watching those guys every show that I'm at, and, you know, asking them for their feedback, I'm just constantly got that opportunity to learn, and keep trying to get better, I guess.
Do you find, like, you know, when you did break in and you started doing shows, and then you started taking a break, like, and this is probably like a question for both of you, really, because, like, Rob, you would have lived through it, and you would have seen it as you were coming through being married to Dave Flame, Tristan Flame. But like, do you think that like, why do you think it was that wrestlers then started branching out and wrestling for different promotions? Because it was like, I can kind of remember in those early 2000s, I was only like, if you're an IWA guy, you only wrestled for IWA. If you're an AWF guy, you wrestled for AWF. And, you know, I think there was a couple of other promotions around the time as well.
Yeah, I think from what I saw, a couple of the feds that had been going for a while, you know, kind of closed doors. So people that were there started looking elsewhere, and that just got people mixing in different groups. So I think that helped. I'm not really sure what else, to be honest. It just, because when I sort of stayed away from the scene, I just stayed completely away from it, because I didn't, you know, I was busy prioritizing my kids and my family, so I didn't really get involved that much. I used to go to the occasional show here and there, but apart from that, I didn't really take much notice of it, to be honest. And then, when the kids, you know, were toddlers, one of my friends asked me if, you know, was there any chance that I could wrestle on their show in a couple of months? Like, she desperately wanted me on there, and I was like, well, you know what, why not? Let's get back into it. So, yeah, and that was a different group, because the group that I worked for, WXA, didn't exist anymore either. So, yeah.
No, that's fair enough. Yeah. So I'm basically under the, you know, a very similar understanding, but I have more of a, like, in order for you to become a great worker, you need to wrestle quite regularly. And everybody had a show once a month or whatnot. Even if you stayed with one company, there still wasn't enough shows to go around. So for you to be really good, you need to work for other companies, because it's even still, when you combine all the other companies' shows together, it's still technically not enough shows. I'm so old school. Well, you should be wrestling every day to make a living. You know what I mean? You should be doing that. But that's just my mentality.
But would someone get heat, like back in the day when like people weren't wrestling for other promotions? Would someone get heat if they were wrestling for like Harpas's promotion and then like they decide to take a booking on, say, you know, TNT's promotion?
Definitely. Yeah. If they 100%. Didn't ask for permission for that to happen, there definitely would have been drama happening. For sure.
Well, that's the thing. When you got indie feds, they're outlaw feds. And normally back in the day, in the actual territory day, you were allowed to swap talent. You're allowed to, as long as you spoke to the promoters. Back then, promoters used to actually talk and say, hey, we want to borrow this person for such and such a time. Can he work for us? And, you know, if you talk to the promoter, everything's all good. You know what I mean? But now promoters don't talk to each other. And then, you know, they get upset when you work for other feds. But sometimes you can't blame them, because we don't have enough shows, you know, to do. So it's just funny like that. I don't understand the mentality. If I was a promoter personally and somebody wanted to work and experience, you know, other workers, I said, yep, no problems, go for it. I'll speak to the promoter. Is it cool? She comes over. If it's cool, he comes over. And that's how you're supposed to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I agree. The more people you work with, that you're going to just get more exposure to different styles.
Exactly.
You know, people that have either more or less experience than you, and either way you'll learn from that as well. So, I agree. The more people you can work with, and you know, the more places you can move around, the better. It's only going to help you learn and be a better wrestler, really, at the end of the day.
Do you think like there's any promotions out there today that try and sort of stop their talent from going and wrestling in other places?
Definitely. There are things that happen. Like I know that there's been bookings where people have been discouraged from taking by one particular fed, because they're worried that, you know, it's too close to home for their own shows, or that I'm not really, I don't quite get it, because like Rob said, and like we were saying before, I think that people should be out there working as much as they can, getting around the scene and learning from everybody. So I don't get it personally, and I think it's a shame for those people as well, because again, they're only going to learn from working with the different groups and the different feds. And if a promoter is doing things right at their own federation, they shouldn't have to worry about what's happening anywhere else either. So, you know, their workers will come back. If it's a good atmosphere, if, you know, it's a good crew of people, and there's, you know, camaraderie and respect in that backstage, then people are going to keep coming back, you know. So it's disappointing for those people, because it means that, they don't get as many bookings as they should be able to. Like, after I came back just last year from my injury, I had like bookings almost every weekend, and I had to turn down bookings, and that's because I do work across so many different groups. So I feel bad for the guys that don't get the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, and I think they lose out, you know what I mean? Especially when you know that somebody's got a lot of potential, and it's like, man, they need to branch out and actually work a lot more, because if they're just stuck in one place and they're working at that fed once every 2 months, it's not enough. It really isn't enough.
Yeah, exactly right. You need to be out there consistently.
And they also can go, but they can also go back, have these matches, learn from it, bring that back, and then put 100%. On better matches for your promotion, and you know.
But he's getting popular. The wrestler's getting popular in a different area. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're different crowds. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it's like a famous celebrity goes on tour. You know what I mean? They wouldn't just stay in one spot. That's why they tour. You know, so people can actually see them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. And it goes back to kind of like, any promotion is good promotion. Why wouldn't you want your workers to be seen elsewhere? Because if they're going to, you know, blow up more, that's better for you too. Because maybe then, if you are worried about, you know, fans and that kind of thing, maybe then those fans from there will come to your shows next time, because they've seen them wrestle elsewhere and they thought, wow, that was great, I want to see more of them. So yeah, I think promoters should be definitely opening the door to other feds to letting their workers come there, and also vice versa, letting their workers go elsewhere.
But you could even do it in a way like if feds could work together, like if a fed could work together in exchanging talent, you could easily do something like an invasion angle, or you know what I mean, because people always love that shit, right? Like people eat that sort of shit up, right? So anytime there's an invasion or like that sort of stuff, like I feel like that's like such a good opportunity that I feel gets missed a lot of the times.
Yeah, it is. And instead of like, trying to battle heads with these other feds, or, wasting their energy on that, trying to outdo them all the time, or trying to, make sure they book all the talent out, or whatever. Yeah, I think that just hurts everybody in the end. So
It does.
It does, man, in a lot of ways, and I feel like it hurts the talent, especially because I feel like the window for performers can sometimes be so small, whether of their time in ring, and it's like if you are restricted to the one place, you're gonna miss out. I feel like on a lot of life opportunities and a lot of, you know what I mean? Because like I feel like the interactions that I have at shows, like before and after shows, going out for a feed after with like a bunch of other people on the show. It's like those are moments which is cool. It's fun. We laugh. It's like, you know what I mean? Like those are important moments, not just for the show, which is always cool and fun, but those moments after and before the show where you're hanging out. It's like that's where you develop friendships. You hang out. Yeah, I don't know. Like, am I on something?
No, 100%. You're spot on the marbles there. It builds
yeah,
camaraderie.
it does.
It builds a good locker room. You got to have fun while you're out there wrestling. You got to have fun in the locker room. You got to have fun outside. You know what I mean? You got to enjoy each other's company and just have a good time, because it builds a lot.
Yeah, it does. And you're just gonna have such a better time, and in having a better time, put on a better match, you build better relationships, get better chemistry out there as well, and win-win.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I agree. But as far as like how it is now, like, do you feel like when you're working on some shows and there's some talent that are coming up, whether they're just like breaking in through the scene, like do they, come up to you, and like when they're working you, are they like, how is the interaction with that now, like as you being a veteran on the scene?
Oh, everybody's great, to be honest. Everybody's always, but it's kind of funny because everybody's like always just so respectful to me. And everybody's very, very easy to work with, to be honest. Nobody, I don't have problems with anybody in the scene. I'm happy to work with anybody as long as they're, willing to work together to make each other look good, and to, put on the show and do the job for the promoter and for the fans. Then that's going to make me happy. So.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like that's accurate. Is like I haven't heard anyone say a bad word about you professionally, personally, anything like that. Everyone is like speaks so highly and respectfully when your name comes up.
Yeah, except she does stiff people hard. Now I copped a nice slapping, and her daughter too. So you better look out, because they hit hard. That's for sure.
You got to make it look real, Rob. You can't fake a slap. So
exactly.
Real.
But like as far as like teaming with Dave and Rob and stuff like that, like how do you enjoy doing that as opposed to like performing out on your own doing matches?
Oh, I love it. Any chance I get to work with David is always great. Obviously, being my husband, have a very high level of trust with him, so I can do a lot with him in the ring. That I pretty much can do anything almost with him in the ring. So really trust him, like absolutely with my life out there. And him and Rob together, they're such a great tag team, and they make it a lot of fun out there. They're just out there to have a good time and to put on a good show. So it's a really good atmosphere to be around, and they make it like very easy for me when I am working with them to be able to work with them. They're both incredibly talented, and they really know how to put the drama in, not just wrestle well, but put the drama in. And it's great. I'm hoping that with coming up with doing more shows and with things like Loco, we'll get more chances to do things like that. And we work together in a few of the same places now. So yeah, that just opens the door, and yeah, I'm definitely keen for more of that.
Hell yeah, that'd be great. Looking forward to that type of stuff.
As far as like, as we touched on earlier, like when you did break in, 2002 and sort of seeing the business, transform really, like I think now it's a really completely different type of industry than what it was 20 years ago. But like, did you ever experience any of like some of that seedy shit that you've heard from that sort of time frame, or was it different for you because like, you came into the business with your partner being in the business and around pretty much majority of the time. So did you kind of like avoid that sort of like garbage?
Yeah. To be honest, I did. Everybody knew I was with David, pretty much. So, and if they didn't, they would figure it out pretty quickly, I suppose. But yeah, so I personally never really had much drama with anybody or anything. Like, I think everybody's probably had a couple of suggestive comments here and there from people, but nothing that I couldn't handle, to be honest, or anything that made me particularly worried. When I first started at WXA, like under Andy, like he very much treated me like one of the boys. At the same time, he made sure that the boys were very respectful towards me and the other women as well. So, and he was very strict about that. He always felt very true to that. So I was very lucky that I suppose I probably got shielded from a lot of that. But I definitely know many girls who have had many issues, and I suppose even now, not necessarily in the locker room, you always get sometimes some interesting fans and things like that. Like, but again, like I know you can generally spot them a mile away, and I know how to handle myself. So yeah, I've been pretty fortunate and lucky. I've had pretty good people around me as well. So.
Because I feel like like how you were saying, like how Andy would keep like the boys in check at training and stuff like that to make the girls feel comfortable. Because it's like there's so many stories like that I've been told from like wrestlers from around the world that come through the same era as like yourself, Rob and Dave, where it's like the women would come to train because they love the business, and then the guys would just be relentless on them until they just went, fuck this, like I just want to come and wrestle, like I'm not here to get fucking hit on and grabbed at. And like a lot of people that I've spoken to were like saying a lot of good talented females came through the doors of their gyms and lasted about a month to maybe 3 months, and then they're just like, fuck, this is too much for me.
Yeah, I can see how that would happen if people weren't kept in check. So yeah, again, so lucky that when I started, and also the fact that I was with David, but the boys were kept in line, and if there was ever any hint of anything, they would get very quickly told what's what. And even just with things like at show and at training, they were just very careful to make sure no one ever got put in a situation where anything could even happen as well. So the girls always had completely separate dressing room to the guys, and if for some reason that wasn't possible, we were in the dressing room with the owners, and no one else was allowed in our dressing room. Even David wasn't like allowed, my partner, sorry, Tristan, he wasn't really allowed in the dressing room because that was the girls' safe space. So and that was probably because, to be honest, I'm sure that Andy would have seen in the business through his time a lot of shit and bullshit. So he was really very careful to protect us from that.
Yeah, so we had a pretty respectful locker room too. I mean, when we had IWA, we had a lot of women that were there, and it was a respectable atmosphere. You know what I mean? They all became one big family. Brothers and sisters. Look, everybody dates and whatnot, but everything was always respectful. Everyone got along with each other. So I mean, I didn't witness like anything like I didn't witness anything bad.
Yeah.
I just looked at it. That's my sister. That's my brother. We're all family. We're here to learn. We're here have a good time, enjoy each other's company, and that's what it was all about back then. So
Yeah, definitely.
Like I'm sure it happened in some places, but I think as well but what I'm saying is by that time I think as well, like the network of Australian wrestling was probably so small. Like you know what I mean? Like people like that would easily get picked out.
Yeah, we only had like I think maybe 5 women wrestlers in our fed, maybe even 4. Like it just depends. So, and they were all really, really good girls. You know what I mean? They were very respectful. They wanted to learn, and they were very talented. So there was no major issue there. So I don't know what really goes on in other feds because I spent a lot of time in the IWA. So I do know I haven't seen anything since. But the only thing I've heard is just stuff that's happened through the Me Too movement. That's the only thing I've heard, and hear all these stories and whatnot. But I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but yeah, I didn't witness anything.
Yeah.
Who loves the show?
Who loves the show? Facebook users, go to YouTube and watch on YouTube so we can see
your name
in the description.
Right next to it, show. Say your name.
But like, do you feel like yourself now? Like, how often would you ideally like to be wrestling at the moment?
As a minimum, like once a month, probably more than that, really. To be honest, as long as I still leave time for the kids and for them as well. Then I'm happy to wrestle every weekend, at least every second weekend. As long as I'm getting a chance to work with different people, go around to different places and mix it up a bit, then yeah, it's all good for me.
Like, did you ever have an opportunity to go and travel or to go and wrestle like overseas at all?
I did, I did get asked about it when I was a bit younger, but at the time I just had, a lot going on with work and with, even before I had kids, just family commitments and family that I've always that I was supporting at the time and things like that. There were periods of time where I had, younger siblings living with me and things like that. So it wasn't really a situation where I could just kind of pack up and go. Also, to be honest, back then, even though kind of laugh at myself now, I didn't have the same level of confidence as a wrestler as what I did now. And so I don't know how I would have gone even if I did do that anyway. I have been interstate a few times, down in South Australia and down Bright City, things like that. Yeah, it's just the way the cards have fallen for me. I don't necessarily regret anything because I've got a great life and I still get to do what I love doing and I still have a great family life. And I'm happy with how things are and how things worked out for me.
Well, that's good. As long as it wasn't Dave's fault, right? It wasn't because of Dave. So you got to tell him next time nobody puts Beck in the corner. You just tell him that.
I think that could be like a Grease's live promo thing or something. Doing Dirty Dancing throwback.
Yeah, we'll do a scene from. Yeah. I just don't know who's going to hoist who up. Dave or me.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about different promo ideas and things like that. The boys have got some plans, and I always get wrangled into helping out. Often, often I'm the videographer or the slapper in some cases.
Do this. Hold this.
How do you feel?
How'd that look? Did that look good? Do we need to do it again? Yeah. A lot of the time, to be honest, they are one take wonders a lot of the time. So they're pretty impressive to watch coming up with the things that they do.
How do you find doing promos? Is that something that you enjoy doing, or is that something that you prefer not to do?
It depends on the setup for it, to be honest. I've had some promos where I've just felt so awkward and weird and just being like, oh my God, what was I doing? I was just, mumbling nonsense. And then I've had other promos where I just felt like I completely kicked it out of the park. Before the Halloween show last year, obviously with some great help from my husband, I did a Batgirl promo and I got in touch. Yeah, it was so much fun as well. I got in touch with a guy who lives locally, and he actually has a Batmobile, and I got to go to his house and play with it. And it was really, really cool. And
That's
yeah, he was
I was
he was he
wondering
was
how you got
wonderful.
that Batmobile. I was wondering how you got it. I mean,
I've
where did
seen
you
that
get
photo.
that? How did you do that? That's
No, he
unreal.
does. He actually does a lot of charity work from that as well. Yeah, he's got a lot of cool stuff. He's got like a bat bike that he's built as well. Yeah,
Wow.
pretty impressive. But yeah, so like something like that was great. I can remember years ago back in the WXA days actually when we used to do pre-tapes. There was one time I did a promo with Nikki Nitro where we just had a complete brawl in the bathroom. And it just was, we just made it up as we went, but we went completely wild, and it just turned out so good. Whereas, yeah, like I said, there's other promos where I find if I try and talk too much, I just get tongue tied, or if I overthink it. So if I'm going to do promos, I try and just keep it simple, minimize my talking, and just try and, if I'm in front of a live crowd, try and read the crowd a bit. As a heel, I find it's easier because there's so much more you can say. But yeah, it's something where I'm always learning, and I've got some of the best masters to learn from when it comes to Tristan and Rob. And they give great advice as well.
100%.
Yeah, I've always found it fun to do more vignette type promos. I struggle sometimes just to sit there and just have to talk, and then it's like I'm going. I'm not good at that. On this day we're gonna wrestle this person. At Hurstville RSL. That just bores the shit out of me. It really does. I like doing the proper movie type of stuff. Fun stuff. Stuff that's gonna really put a smile on somebody's face, because I know me just talking isn't gonna do it. You know what I mean? You need to spice it up a bit. But that's.
Well, I think it depends on how captivating you can be, though. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But if you put me in front of a camera just talking like now, it doesn't do anything. But if you do stuff like,
you're right. Let's get rid of him anyway. So Flame,
put me in an outfit, look like an idiot. Have some sort of story that you're doing. I can go with it. You know what I mean? I can really get into something. Talking to someone rather than talking to a camera is two different things.
Yeah, definitely. You don't feel quite as awkward, and you've got someone to feed off as well. So
yeah. Oh, when you got someone like, especially Dave and a few other tag partners I've had as well. When you got really good people to feed off, like, it's just amazing. It just makes your job so easy. It's like you only have to say one thing, and they say one thing, and just you roll off the tongue. Sometimes you're just making it up, and it just works.
Yeah,
it's good stuff.
Fun. Oh, absolutely. But
fun stuff about wrestling.
Like, what do you think about, like, because I think now we see a lot of intergender wrestling happening quite frequently. What's your take on it? Like, are you for it? You against it? Like, do you see it's an opportunity to see like two good wrestlers wrestling each other despite what the gender is? What's your view?
Yeah, I'm definitely for it. I think there's a balance with it in how far you go. You don't want to get it in a scenario where it looks like some big guys just constantly beating the shit out of someone that's got no chance, if that makes sense. So if you can build a story around it and have it more about probably the anticipation and that kind of thing, and less the actual violence, still have great wrestling in there, but have it things where instead of the guy like punching the girl in the face, like maybe he does something else to her instead, but she's, that kind of thing. I think it depends on your audience too, to be honest. If you're doing like a family friendly PG show, it's very different to doing, an over 18 show as well. So yeah, I think there's got to be a balance there. But like I said before, I love wrestling David when I get the chance to do that, because I get to do some stuff that I can't do with anybody else, or I don't necessarily trust them as much to do. So if I get a chance to wrestle against him, like, I'll jump at it. I love it. But yeah, we're just very careful that it doesn't look too much like he's just completely, kicking the shit out of me. Like, I've got to look like I've got some kind of chance, regardless of whether I win or lose the match. As long as, you build that story up and, there's a bit of an even fight, then yeah, I'm all for it.
Yeah, like no
And
one wants to sound
there
like
are some
someone
great
rock.
intergender wrestling that happens out there. There really is. Like,
Well, I think no one wants to see a guy just like straight Brock Lesnar elbow smash some like girl's face off. Like I don't think that anyone like legitimately wants to sit there and see something. Huh? Yeah, look, I get yeah, but like let's be real, like that's uncomfortable to watch. But like I feel like you can get lost in intergender wrestling if you can sit there and enjoy two people wrestling. But
I think it's best with intergender. I've got no problems with it. I've only got one issue, and that is psychology. And a lot of times people don't get psychology right. If you get the psychology right, it works perfectly.
Brock versus Alexa Bliss.
I think that's the issue, and you know that comes with a lot of psychology doesn't get used, you know, in a male versus male, female versus female. It just doesn't get used as much, you know? And I think the psychology just makes it so much better.
I think as well, though, like if you remember, like I think you can make anything believable. They made like I've said this many times before on the podcast, so everyone's gonna have to bear with me a fucking second. But like, if we can believe Rey Mysterio can beat the Great Khali, the Big Show, and Kane in a fatal 4-way and make it a believable match where no one questioned it, man, anything else can happen in professional wrestling, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, they did though, but anything Ray did was psychology based. You know what I mean? Yeah, he did all the flippity stuff, but he never threw the Big Show off. It was always a reversal. You know what I mean? It was all still like big man, little man type of story. It's just Ray just used his aerial tactics. You know, so I just think every type of match can be done properly if there's great psychology. You know, and if it had that, then it will turn out well. The match will be good.
Yeah. I feel like the psychology aspect of it is so important, and to be believable. Like I feel like if you can have it like a male versus female, right? But if the guy is 6'6" and the woman is 5'2", it's not believable. But if she's 5'2" and she's taking on a guy who's maybe 5'8", 5'9", okay, you know what I mean? Like that, she's in contention for that. And I think like if you look at mainstream wrestling, I think Impact Wrestling did it really well a couple of years ago with Tessa Blanchard versus Sami Callihan, where they built this feud up where these two were just like despising each other, so they had to fight, and the match was intense. But because of the story and the build-up of it, everything in the match made perfect sense, like why he would pick her up and pile drive her through, chairs, etc. Right?
It was done right. It was really done right, and they're two fantastic workers too. So they know exactly what they're doing. They understand it all.
Robbo Entertainment says Bonza versus Kingsley worked because of the story. Bonza was hesitant because it was his niece, and it gave her openings. 100%.
Exactly. Yeah, it makes sense, like telling a story as well. So yeah.
There you go. We got Millennium Man in the house. Hey, Piers and Flame. I guess he doesn't like Rob. But I think like, yeah. But I think, yeah, it can definitely make sense. And I think, like, do you feel like psychology in wrestling is missing to a certain extent today?
Definitely. A lot of the time, you see people who are too worried sort of about going out there, hitting in as many combos and spots as they can. And they're sort of forgetting about the fact that they're meant to be telling a story. And sometimes it's not about doing, a million high-flying things. You just have, one or two things here and there, and, you build up to it. So, I do think that can be missing a lot. But again, it comes back to training, I think, and the way you train, and who's around you coaching you, those kind of things. That makes such a difference to how a match can go. Like it really does.
Like it's interesting because like I watched the Royal Rumble the other night, and I sat down and watched it, and I think you and me, we had a conversation about this, didn't we? And I was like, what is the whole premise of like a Royal Rumble or a Battle Royal? Not to get thrown over the top rope and throw everyone else over the top rope, right? The amount of people I saw climbing to the top rope to do a fucking high spot, I'm like,
yeah, that's just dumb.
Like,
Yeah,
why would you? Like, you put, you know what I mean? Like, psychology wise, like, even if you're a high flyer, you think, okay, I've got to move quick. I've got to look like I'm bouncing around. Like,
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. You're 100% right. But then you think of psychology, it's pro wrestling, right? Who would run the ropes in real life?
true.
So there you
100%.
go. So at what point, you got to add the entertainment factor into it, so it's always going to be a debatable question.
What do you think of it overall? Like, seeing that, like, from a psychology standpoint, Flame?
Right?
Yeah, I probably prefer to see less of it. I don't mind, like, maybe a little bit here or there if for some reason it makes sense in the story, like, that someone's managed to jump up real quick and they're just quickly wiping someone out so that they can actually go for it. But if it was me and I was in a rumble, I do a lot of top rope stuff. Like, I'd be avoiding it, like, because I'm little, and if I got up there, it wouldn't make sense because I'm just leaving myself to get just pushed straight off and gone. So yeah, yeah.
Blink twice if you've never been in it. Fair enough. But like, I feel like the one spot I found interesting though was like when Logan Paul and Ricochet jumped, springboarded, and
You
did
didn't
the
like
collision.
that. I can tell you didn't like that, right?
I just thought it was fucking stupid.
Just say it. You can say it. You can say it. You hated it.
I hated it. It was fucking stupid.
The move was fantastic, but yeah, it was just out of nowhere. It was just like, let's just do this. It made no sense. Yeah, so
Yeah.
But yeah, it was spectacular, but it was really like, okay, why?
Not the time and place for it, perhaps.
Well, I think it's like you remember the Edge and like Jeff Hardy thing where he spears him mid-air or something. That was like that. I think that made sense, but that what I saw on like the other day, I was like, this is bullshit.
Well, Jeff was going for wasn't he going for the belt or something? Wasn't he hanging on to it? Yeah. So it kind of stopped him in a way. It was interesting that was different.
But like, Flame, back onto you. Like, who has been like one of your favorite opponents to wrestle over the years?
Oh gosh, there's a few people that I just have good chemistry with, I suppose. I enjoy working Nikki Petite. We have just really good athletic matches. I find her really easy to work with, and we always put on a great show. Nikki Nitro, we've battled many times since I first started. We started in the same group, so yeah, we always have great chemistry as well, and I just feel very comfortable out there with her, and I know that again whether I'm heel or face or vice versa, either way we both know each other so well that it's just easy. We don't necessarily even have to do much, if that makes sense. Other people like Jasmine, we always have fun together as well, and more recently I've been working with She-Wolf, and I got to wrestle with Jimbro Jesse as well down at Rock and Roll. So they've been great. Yeah, they're all really lovely girls. And yeah, they're all got different styles, and that just makes it more fun to me. I just get to do different things, with each of them. And yeah, we all manage to put on a good show, I think, most of the time, and have fun at the same time. So
yeah, that's awesome. But speaking of that too, you actually get to meet up with your old foe and wrestle her at EWA show on the 11th.
Yeah,
Nikki Knight. So that'll
that's
be
right.
fast.
That'll be a banger. It will be a good one. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, actually. I haven't seen her since I think March last year. We were in some mixed tag matches against each other for a charity show. But yeah, and I think this is her first match back too after a bit of time off. So it'll be good to sort of help her wear that rust off. I'm definitely looking forward to it.
That's going to be a pretty big show, I think, coming up, isn't it? Like, that's like Hurstville. It's going to be a big show. I think they've sold quite a few tickets.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Sorry, Rob.
No, you go.
Yeah, I was going to But yeah, from what I hear, ticket sales are going really well. There's still more there, so the more the merrier. I'd love to see a great massive crowd there. There's some awesome matches lined up already, and the Rumble shaping up to be quite interesting, and it's something that's a little bit different. So I'll be interested to see how that goes. And of course, I get to verse Nikki, and that's going to be amazing. So yeah, we're going to have it. We're going to try and see how close we can come to stealing the show from the boys.
Absolutely.
I reckon it'll be a pretty good night. There's always been a fun time working those shows. So I think this one's going to be good. It's going to be in a new venue, so it's going to be really exciting to see. So, but as we start to wrap up, it is that time of the show where it is 60 seconds with Piers. How this works is we're going to fire a bunch of questions off at Flame. She's got 60 seconds to answer as many as she can. Are you ready to get the ball going?
Yeah, we'll see how we go.
All right, let's get started. Okay, what is your go-to drink on a night out?
Bourbon and Coke or vodka, some kind of cocktail.
What is your go-to song at karaoke?
There's a few, to be honest. Any of the 80s hits, I love all of them. It depends who I'm singing with or if it's solo.
What is something? What is something that you're embarrassed to admit that you like something like a guilty pleasure?
Oh gosh, reality TV. I'm a tragic for reality TV. Absolutely love it.
Same here, Jersey Shore. What did you get into trouble for most as a kid?
Asking so many questions. I'd never shut up as a kid.
Would you rather win $10 million or live as twice as long?
Oh, that's tricky. Well, it depends. I wouldn't want to live twice as long if I was alone. And with 10 million, I could do a lot with that and set my kids up well.
If you could turn into someone else for a day and live their life, who would it be?
Lady Gaga.
You have the ability to change the ending of a movie. Which movie would it be, and what's the new ending?
Oh, The Matrix. I hated it.
And what would be the new ending?
That I don't know, that it wasn't all just pretend. I just hated it. Wasn't my thing.
Fair enough. And last one, in 5 minutes' time, you are being shipped to outer space. What two personal belongings do you take with you, excluding human beings?
A music player, and something to control my hair. I have a lot of hair. It takes a lot of taming. So.
That has been 60 seconds with Piers. With Flame, we've had an amazing conversation tonight. This has been a lot of fun. I think the next time we get Flame on, we're going to have to bring on Dave as well. Maybe we'll have them on as a couple. I think that would be interesting to have a dynamic. Yeah. Maybe we could start a new podcast, Rob, couples therapy, where we just bring in couples in the business, do a podcast and see if we get heat between them or some shit.
We'll play a game. How well do you know each other?
Yeah.
That'd be interesting, actually. Yeah.
We'll make it happen. But Flame, thank you so much for giving up your time coming on the podcast. I appreciate you. Where can everyone find you on social media and give you a follow and a like and a share and all that good stuff? I'm
on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. I'm just on there under Flame Aussie Wrestler. So have a look, send me, a friend request if you want, add a like on Insta, follow, that kind of thing. But yeah, I'm all over there. If you see me around at shows, that kind of thing, don't be shy, come up and say hi. I love interacting with fans, that kind of thing as well. And yeah, looking forward to it.
There you go. Rob, appreciate you being on the show again. Flame, thank you so much for giving up your time. Really appreciate it. But guys, till next time, make sure you click that like button, share, subscribe, hit the bell to stay notified, give us a 5-star review, all that good shit. Tap the link and tap in. Till next time, take care. All the best. Peace.
Thanks, guys.